Holiday Club. We are here in Mission Control and I am so glad that you were able to join us this week. My name's Claire and I'm really looking forward to going through this week's Holiday Club with all of you guys at home. I really hope that you're as excited as I am about the fun things that we're going to be getting up to this week. We've got some games to play, we've got some fantastic songs to sing, some wonderful puppets are going to come and do some sketches for us. We've got loads of activities coming up and I'm really looking forward to sharing them all with you this week. So I think the first thing that we need to do to make sure that we're all awake is to do a little bit of a warm-up. So stand up wherever you are at home, have a little bit of a shake and a wriggle, and then we are Space Cadets, so I think we should practice our zero gravity walking and moving around. How are you at moving in zero gravity? Very good indeed, well done. Okay, let's switch the gravity back on and we'll do some marching on the spot. Excellent, that's it. Keep those knees up nice and high. Okay, and let's see you reach up as high as you can and touch the ground. And reach up as high as you can and touch the ground. Very good. How wide can you go? How wide can you go? Very good. Let's have some more marching on the spot. Excellent, well done. Hopefully this is warming you up. Let's do some Saturday Night Fever. Looking good, Space Cadets. Very, very good. Okay, let's finish off. Let's jog this time on the spot. Very good. Well done. And stop. Okay. Have a little bit of a shake. Very good. That was great. Take a seat, guys. That was fantastic. Well done, everybody. Okay, well, I thought we would start off with a little bit of a game today. I have a friend down here who's going to help me out with this. So, this is my friend Debbie. She's usually quite chatty, but she's feeling pretty quiet today. But Debbie wants to be an astronaut, and I think that we need to help her look the part of an astronaut. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to have 1 minute to dress Debbie as the best astronaut that I can using some foil that I found lying around here in Mission Control. Now, if you want to, you can join in with this game. Perhaps you've got a teddy or a doll at home that you could dress up in an astronaut outfit. Maybe you've got some tin foil that you could use to have a go. If not, that's absolutely fine. You can watch the screen, see how I get on with dressing up Debbie, and we're going to have 1 minute. So, are you ready? If you're joining in at home, I'm going to put a countdown on the screen. 3, 2, 1, go. There we go, the clock is running. Okay. I'm going to use some foil. I think I'm going to start with some sleeves for Debbie's outfit. There we go, there's one sleeve, Debbie. Let's do another sleeve. Oh, 15 seconds gone already. Right, let's do the other sleeve. Oh, down this way. And I think we're going to need to do a main section here. Over Debbie's front. to get you all dressed up as astronauts. How are you doing? Okay, we've got 10. Are you doing a countdown at home? I'm going to see if I've got time to give Debbie a hat. Have I got time? 3, 2, 1, and stop! Wow, a minute is not very long at all, is it? Okay, wow, what do you think of the outfit which I have designed here for Debbie? It's got quite a spacey look, hasn't it? I was pleased I was able to get the hat on in time. I think perhaps with a bit more time I could have given her a little bit more flair, but I'm pretty pleased for a minute with that outfit there. Okay, well, that was a brilliant warm-up, a brilliant introduction to Space Academy. And now I'm going to introduce the band. They're going to come and lead us in some songs, so feel free to stand up on your feet and join in with the actions and the words, and let's sing these songs together.
Shine like stars, shine in deep space. Show the world what God has done. Let's live bright lives in a dark place. Share God's love with everyone. Every day we'll live our lives orbiting the sun. Higher than the moon and the sun and the Milky Way. God's name is much higher. Greater than a spaceship or a rocket or the speed of light. God's power is much greater, bigger than the planets and the stars and the galaxy. God's love is much bigger, 'cause we know that God made all that's in the universe. Let's shout the message of Jesus. Tell the world of how he saves. Let's boldly go where he leads us. Follow him for all our days. One small step I'll take in faith, and a giant leap of praise. Higher than the moon and the sun and the Milky Way. God's name is much higher. Greater than a spaceship and a rocket or the speed of light. God's power is much greater, bigger than the planets and the stars and the galaxy. God's love is much bigger, 'cause we know that God made all that's in the universe. Higher than the moon and the sun and the Milky Way. God's name is much higher. Greater than a spaceship or a rocket or the speed of light. God's power is much greater, bigger than the planets and the stars and the galaxy. God's love is much bigger, 'cause we know that God made all that's in the universe. Higher, 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 greater, 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 bigger, 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 massive God. Higher, 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 greater, 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 bigger, 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 massive God. Higher, 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 greater, 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 bigger, 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 massive God. Higher, 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 greater, 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 bigger, 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 massive God.
Hello, my name's Curly, and I've got something really exciting to tell you. I'm going to be the very first sheep in space. So, I'm here at the Sheepy Space Academy to get ready for my trip to space. We're even hoping to get a sheep to the moon by 2024. It's a bit different here for me. Usually, I'm in a nice field with lots of my sheep friends and lovely tasty grass everywhere. Wonder what I should do next. Oh, I know. I'll go and see if I can find some nice tasty grass. It's my favourite thing to eat.
I'm looking for a trainee sheepanaut called Curly. He's supposed to be waiting here for me. I wonder where he's got to. Today is the first day of his training. We're going to make sure he's fit and healthy.
Bah.
Good morning, trainee sheepanaut Curly. Are you all ready to begin your training for your trip to space?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. First, as you know, we need to make sure you're fit and healthy. So we need to look at what exercise you've been doing and your diet.
I don't like that word.
Which word?
Diet. I'm quite happy with the grass I eat. It's yummy.
I'm sure it is, but there isn't a lot of grass in space.
There isn't grass in space? What will I eat? I like grass. Hang on a minute, I need to think. If there's no grass in space, I don't want to go. I only wanted to go to the moon because someone said it was made of green something or other, and I thought it might be grass.
Calm down, trainee sheepanaut Curly. Our boffins at the Sheepy Space Academy have already thought of that, and you'll have to learn to suck your grass through a straw, and then you can make it to space with you.
Until I get to the moon, when I can eat the grass there.
And after hours of looking at the moon through a telescope, our scientists haven't found any evidence of grass on the moon. We've also discovered that the moon isn't made of cheese, which has made the mousenauts very unhappy.
I'm a bit disappointed about there being no grass on the moon. But I'm quite excited to be the first sheep in space.
Only quite excited.
Well, there's one bit of going to space that worries me. Having to be eaten by a dragon.
Eaten by a dragon? You don't have to be eaten by a dragon.
You do. I've seen it in the news. People are going to blast into space in a dragon. And that must mean you have to be eaten by it before you launch.
I can see we've got a lot of training to do with you. But let me just explain. The dragon is the name of the rocket that takes people to space. It isn't a real dragon, and no one has to get eaten.
For you. Although I am a little bit disappointed. I was looking forward to seeing a dragon.
Yes, you definitely need an awful lot of training. Let's start by getting you fit. Can you run to the other side of the field to that patch of very green grass?
Yummy grass. See how fast I am.
He is fast, but he's not supposed to eat the grass. I'd better go and tell him, and perhaps you'd like to join us tomorrow to see more of Curly's training.
Wow, thank you so much to our amazing puppet team. What a brilliant introduction to our story. I can't wait to see what happens to Curly next. Well, here we are at Space Academy to start our mission training. Now, astronauts have to do a lot of training before they can head out on their missions. They practice every single thing they're going to do as part of their mission, and they also practice what to do if something goes wrong. So for every minute that an astronaut spends in space, they will have done several hours of training here on Earth. There's loads of things that they need to know about before they go off into space. Can you imagine being on a space mission far away from Earth and something going wrong and you don't know what to do because you haven't practiced it? So to make sure that doesn't happen, they practice everything they possibly can before they go out on their missions. Now, I wonder if you have ever solved one of these. So this is a Rubik's Cube, and the idea is that you solve it by turning one set of cubes at a time, one set of squares at a time, until you have it arranged so that each face of the cube has a different colour on each side. So you have to arrange the little squares to make a big square of one colour. Now, I'm not very good at Rubik's Cubes. I have tried to solve them and I never quite manage to do it. I wonder if you've ever solved one at home. But I do know that if you take some time to learn the sequence and practice it, that you can solve the cube every single time. There's a sequence that you can learn and practice so that every time, no matter how messed up the colours are on the Rubik's Cube, you can always twist it and follow the sequence and get it solved so that each face is a different colour. I wonder if you have ever learned a musical instrument. Perhaps you have done things like swimming lessons or football practice. Perhaps you've learned another skill like cooking or dancing. At the moment, I am slowly learning to speak Spanish. And what I find is that the more I practice, the more words I understand, and the easier I find it to understand things that are said or written down in Spanish. Do you find that with the things that you're learning, that the more you practice, the more time you spend doing them, the easier it gets, the more you learn, and then you can progress onto doing more and more complex things? Well, some things, like going into space, you have to learn and practice before you can do them. So those astronauts doing hundreds and hundreds of hours of training before they ever get into a spacecraft or onto a rocket so that they know what to do. They have to practice before they can go out on their missions. But sometimes you can learn on the job. Now, Jesus taught the people he met about lots and lots of different things. And most importantly, he told people about what God was like and how to live God's way. And while they were travelling around Israel with Jesus, his followers learned about trusting God, about caring for others and sharing God's love with everyone. They didn't have to learn everything before being allowed to join in the mission that Jesus had for them. They were training on the job. Now, they often got things wrong, they made mistakes, and Jesus helped them to learn from their mistakes and to grow and understand more and more about how much God loved them and how God wanted them to live their lives and share that with other people. Now, in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, which is the first book in the New Testament, it's one of the books that tells the story of Jesus' life on earth. And in Matthew chapter 10, there is a story about a time when Jesus sent his followers out to practice some of what they'd learned. So there were lots and lots of people who followed Jesus around, who gathered. When he came to their towns, they would come and they would gather and listen to the stories that he had to tell them and the things that he had to teach them about God. But in particular, there were 12 people who met Jesus quite early on when he started his ministry, when he started teaching people about God. There were 12 people that he chose that followed him. They went with him everywhere that he went as he travelled around the country. They were called the disciples, and they were Jesus' special friends. And one day, Jesus gathered them all together, all 12 of them, and he told them to get ready because he was going to send them out on a mission. Now, by this point, so in the book of Matthew, this is in chapter 10, so in the chapters 1 to 9, by this point, his followers had seen him do some amazing things and say some amazing things. They'd heard Jesus talk about fairness, about including other people, about making sure that everybody had enough and not leaving anyone out. They'd heard Jesus talk about not judging other people, and they'd seen him do incredible things like calming a storm and healing people who were sick, all sorts of amazing things that they had seen and heard Jesus do. And Jesus gathered them round and he said, right, I am sending you out to go and practice following my example. And he sent them out to go and tell people the things that Jesus had been sharing about God, to share God's love with the people that they met, to tell them how much God loved them, how much he cared about them, and how he wanted them to live their lives by sharing their things, by making sure that everyone was included, that everybody had enough to live on. That was what God wanted them to be sharing with the people around them. Wow, what a mission! That sounds quite a full-on mission, doesn't it? I wonder how the disciples felt about that. Perhaps they were excited. They'd seen Jesus doing these amazing things, and now they were going to get to go out and have a go for themselves. Perhaps they were really excited. Perhaps some of them felt a little bit nervous about going out and doing these things by themselves. Perhaps some of them were not sure if they could actually do that without being with Jesus in a big group. But that was the mission that Jesus gave them. How incredible. And that mission is not just one that Jesus gave to those 12 disciples on that day. It's a mission that all of Jesus' followers throughout history have, including his followers today. It's the mission that we're all invited to join, to follow Jesus' example, to live our lives God's way, and to share his love with other people. And the great thing is that if we choose to accept this mission, then we can train on the job, because Christians keep on learning more and more about God and how to follow him throughout our whole lives. So whether you've known God for your whole life or for a really long time and he's a really good friend to you, or whether actually you feel like you don't know much about God yet, you haven't heard a lot about him, then we can all join in with this mission, because we learn as we go. We learn about just how much God loves us and cares for us, and then we can go out and we can share that with the people around us so that they all know just how much God cares for them. Now, we make mistakes just like the disciples did. Everybody makes mistakes, even when we've been following God for a really long time. But Jesus helps us to keep learning from our mistakes and to keep going with the mission. And we're going to find out a little bit more about that later on in the week. But we can always keep going with Jesus. So this week at Space Academy Holiday Club, we are going to be finding out about some of the things which help astronauts to complete their missions in space. And we're also going to be learning about the things which help us if we choose to accept the mission of following God. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to have a couple of minutes to be quiet and reflect just for a little bit. So the band are going to sing a song for us, and you can join in with the song if you want to, with the words and with the actions, or you can use this time to chat to God about what you've heard this morning or anything that is really important to you right now. So I'm going to hand over to the band, and let's just spend this time with God.
When I wake in the morning, I will sing I love you. I love you as I close I love you as I close my eyes to sleep at night. I will worship you. I love you, Jesus. I love you. I love you, Jesus. I love you. I love you, Jesus. I
Okay, that's great. Well, we're now going to have a quiz. So, if you have got your Space Cadet activity pack, if that got sent to you, then you should have found in there a little booklet, and inside you've got some space to write your quiz answers down. We're going to have a quiz every day, so you've got some space for each day to write your quiz answers down. So you might want to find that little booklet, grab yourself a pencil or a pen. If you haven't got the booklet, don't worry, just grab yourself a piece of paper. Any paper will do, and something to write with, and you can write your answers down as well. So we're going to have 5 questions. Each question's going to have 3 choices for the answer. So you can just write down A, B or C for your answer. And when we've gone through all of the questions, then we'll have a look at the answers. Okay, are you ready? Here is question number 1. So, how long does an astronaut train for every minute that they spend in space? How long does an astronaut train for every minute that they spend in space? Is it A, minutes, B, hours, or C, years? So they spend minutes training, hours training, or years training for every minute that they spend in space. What do you think? You can write down, you can just write down A, B or C if you want to for your answer. And let's move on to the second question. So the second question is, which book of the Bible was today's story from? Was it A, Genesis, B, Psalms, or C, Matthew? What do you think? Genesis, Psalms, or Matthew? Give you a couple of seconds just to write down your answer. And then let's have a look at question number 3. Okay, this one's about Curly. Do you remember Curly the sheep? Where is Curly the sheep doing his training? Is it A, Sheepy Space Academy, B, University, or C, NASA? So do you remember where Curly is doing his training? Sheepy Space Academy, University, or NASA? What do you think? Write down your answer for this one. Okay, let's have a look at number 4. And we're going back to our story from today. So how many of his followers did Jesus send out to practice what he had taught them in our story today? Was it A, 12, B, 45, or C, 99? What do you think? 12, 45, or 99? Have you got an answer written down for that one? Very good. Let's have a look at our final question for today. What was the name of my friend who wants to be an astronaut who we dressed up in our game earlier? Do you remember she was here on the desk with me? Was it A, Laura, B, Debbie, or C, Louise? Can you remember my friend's name? Laura, Debbie, or Louise? Okay, have you got an answer written down for each one of those questions? Let's go through and have a look at the answers. You can tick them off as we go. So the first question was, how long does an astronaut train for every minute that they spend in space? And the answer was B, hours. An astronaut spends hours training for every minute that they spend in space. Well done if you remembered that one. Okay, our second question was, which book of the Bible was today's story from? We had Genesis, Psalms, or Matthew, and the answer was C, Matthew. So it came from the book of Matthew, which is the first book in the New Testament, and it's one of the books that tells the story of Jesus' life on earth. Well done if you remembered that. Okay, our third question was about Curly, wasn't it? Where is Curly the sheep doing his training? The answer for this one was A, the Sheepy Space Academy. Well remembered on that. Not the university, not NASA, but the Sheepy Space Academy. So if you wrote A for that one, very well done. Let's move on to number 4. How many of his followers did Jesus send out to practice what they had learned from him? This is another A. Did you write A for this one? 12. 12 of his followers that he sent out. Well done if you remembered that from today's story. And our last question, what was the name of my friend who wanted to be an astronaut that we dressed up in the game earlier? The answer was B, Debbie. She's called Debbie, astronaut Debbie, she likes to be known as now. So I wonder, did you get all 5 right? Very, very well done if you did. Don't worry if you didn't, we're going to have a quiz every day this week. So you've got some space to write down your answers later in the week in your booklet, and you can have a little competition with yourself and see if you can get more right each day or all of them right each day. That's just a way of helping us remember what we've been doing each day. Well, I think we are getting an incoming call to Space Academy. Someone is ringing us, so let's find out who's come to speak to us at Space Academy. Well, hello! Welcome to Space Academy. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really good to see you. This week, we're all space cadets here at Mission Control, and it's really good to meet some other people and have you calling in. So would you like to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do most of the time?
Hi, I'm Sian. I'm here on planet Earth, and I am a learning support assistant in Ipswich. So I help students with their learning and try and encourage them in their education. I'm also a massage therapist, so I help people to relax and chill out and deal with their aches and pains. I'm also mother of 2 adult children, 2 girls, Lauren and Amy, and wife to Roger, which keeps me plenty busy. So lots to do.
Brilliant. Oh, that's great. It's really great to see you. So, Sian, I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about the difference that following Jesus makes in your life.
Well, following Jesus, for me, I've kind of had a relationship with Jesus since I was about 12 years old. So it's, I'm, quite old now. And so it's been quite a while. But I think for me, it's something that puts everything in perspective. It's a relationship with God the Father that gives me the opportunity to not fear what comes ahead, what's going to happen in the future. I don't need to worry about that because God has got that in his hands. And that's the kind of assurance that I have. And that's the difference that following Jesus has made in my life.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. I wonder, have you got a favourite Bible verse or a significant verse that you can share with us?
I have, yeah. I had to think about this because there's so many different verses in scripture. But the one I came up to share with you today is Hebrews 11 and verse 1. Now, an old translation, the King James Version, says, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen." And a more modern translation, the Passion Translation, says, "Faith brings our hopes into reality and becomes the foundation needed to acquire the things we long for. It is all the evidence required to prove what is still unseen." And that passage goes on even further and says even more, but I'll let you guys read that for yourselves. But there's also a kind of even more modern translation that says, "Faith is like Wi-Fi. It's invisible, but has the power to connect you to what you need," which I thought is pretty cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. And that's kind of what we're thinking about this week, about having faith and following Jesus. And of course, we're using Wi-Fi to do this holiday club. So that's amazing. Thank you.
No worries.
Well, the other thing that I was going to ask you is that Space Cadets, of course, cake is very important to us. And all of our Space Cadets this week have got a little booklet at home and they've got a profile they can fill in with all their information. And one of the questions on there is about cake and their favourite kind of cake, because I think cake is very important. So what's your favourite kind of cake, Sian?
My favourite kind of cake, well, to me, there is only one cake, and that has to be chocolate. Every time.
Oh, yummy. That sounds really good. Yeah, I'll join you in a piece of chocolate cake. That sounds fantastic. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's really great to meet you and hear a little bit about you. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for joining us.
No worries. Thank you. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Through you, I can do anything. I can do all things, 'cause it's you who gives me strength. Nothing is impossible. Through you, blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I am living by faith. Nothing is impossible. strength. Nothing is impossible to you. Blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I am living by faith. Nothing is impossible. I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe in you. I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe in you.
Well, we've almost reached the end of our first day at Space Academy Holiday Club. Thank you so much for coming to join us. I hope you've had a good time today. It's been great to have you. We've got lots of things planned for the rest of the week, so do come back tomorrow and join in with us again. But let's just finish off our session today with a prayer. So we're going to have a little bit of a shake and a shuffle, get rid of any fidgets that you've got, and then we go 1, 2, 3. Dear God, thank you for Space Academy Holiday Club. Thank you that we can have this holiday club in our homes this year. We pray that you would help us as we set out on your mission. Whether we've known you for a really long time or we're just getting to know you for the first time, we thank you for how much you love us. And we pray that you would be with us and help us as we join in with your mission. Amen. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's video will be going live at 10:30 again. So you can find that through our website or through the link that we send you if you've registered. And we really hope that you will be able to come back and join us again tomorrow for the next instalment of Space Academy. So we look forward to seeing you then. Bye!